Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your September 2020 report. In this report, I'm going to go over the planetary changes in the sky for this month. It is going to be a very impactful month with a lot of changes. I'm also going to include the full moon report. In this report, I will try to do a separate one if I have time permitting, but if not, I will include a synopsis in this report, okay? So in this report, first what I'll do is I'll give you all the dates, then we'll go over the events, and then we will close. So let's get started, okay? September 2020, wow, what a very powerful and impactful month this is going to be. So it's important to know that there's going to be a lot of energetic shifts happening in the sky. I am a Vedic astrologer. We use the Sidereal zodiac, which is the zodiac that actually has the planets where they are in the sky as of right now, okay? So it's a more precise zodiac, and it's called the Sidereal zodiac, or we could call it the Vedic zodiac as well, okay? Just to make that point clear. So starting right off the bat, today, September the 1st, we have Venus moving into the sidereal sign of Cancer, all right? So it's going to be opposing Saturn, and it's going to be having an aspect of Mars when it moves into this position. That's today. Later tonight or tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world, we are going to have a beautiful full moon in the Vedic sign of Aquarius, in the Nakshatra of Chatabishak. Okay, so Chatabishak Nakshatra. It's a very interesting nakshatra. And we'll go over the finer points of that full moon that's happening tonight or tomorrow. Then also on the 2nd, with the full moon, we have Mercury moving into its exaltation sign of Virgo. So a lot of communication is going to be ramped up, but it is exalted communication, people seeking the truth, all right? So that is the 1st and the 2nd right away. Then later on in the week, the following week, we are going to have Mars, the very powerful planet of Mars, which is transiting its own sign of Aries right now. It is going to be stopping in the sky, and it's going to begin its retrograde journey back into the sidereal sign of Pisces. Now, remember when Mars crossed that Gandanta point, right, that I keep talking to you guys about, is going to do that in its retrogression phase as well. So something to be aware of, okay? We'll go over all of this in greater detail. Then on the 12th of September, we are going to have the Magnanimous Jupiter stationing direct and finally coming out of its retrograde phase and moving forward in its own sign of sidereal Sagittarius. And then after that, we have a huge shift with the nodes changing their signs. Okay, so this is going to close a whole cycle out for us, thank goodness. We're going to start a new cycle, and this is very important to pay attention to. I actually am going to do a whole video just on this transit of Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node, moving from its current positions of sidereal Sagittarius and Gemini into sidereal Taurus and Scorpio. All right, and then in the very end of the month, I believe it's so that's going to happen on the 3rd week of September, and then at the very end of the month, we're going to have the great planet Saturn, the great karmic planet, moving forward. All right, so let's get started as to what this can mean. Just keep in mind that when I'm giving the report, it's a very generalized report. And if you'd like to see where these planets are affecting you personally, I'd be happy to schedule a reading with you. Feel free to contact me at the email below, and we can set that up. So also would like to take this opportunity to ask viewers to please like and subscribe and share this if you find it beneficial. It really helps me to continue to be motivated and excited to bring you this content. So thank you very much for those who have, and for those who haven't, please do. All right, so Venus moving into Cancer. Okay, so this is a very powerful and vulnerable sort of transit. We have the planet of relationships moving into the sign of the mother, the sign of the nurturer, the sign of the very powerful emotions and also attachment, right? Because Cancer wants to nourish others. So you might want to nourish your relationships more. But this backside of that is getting the lessons of attachment. Are you seriously nourishing your relationships out of a sense of duty, out of a sense of love? Or are you trying to nourish others so they become attached to you or dependent on you for what it is that you're doing for them? So every transit and every planet has its positive sides and its so-called negative sides, right? So we want to look at both sides, all sides of the transits occurring, so that we can have a more holistic view of how these energies can manifest. Okay, so my computer is glitching. I need to really learn to do something about that. I'm going to keep continuing with the report, so forgive me if it's a bit glitchy. I'm not sure how to deal with that right now. Okay, so we have Venus in the sidereal sign of Cancer, and it's going to be aspected by Saturn and Mars. So that can give a little bit of pushback as well on your well intentions or your good intentions to help nurture your relationships and shed light and nourishment and sort of like a motherly energy that you're wanting to contribute at this time. There could be a lot of resistance and actually some resentment and anger towards that, believe it or not. So it could be a very hurtful time these next few weeks. Just be aware of it and know that it's not just you that's feeling frustrated in your wanting to give. Maybe those that you're wanting to give to aren't ready to receive, right? We're all on our paths, and we're all on different levels of our paths. So it's just important to pay attention to the fact that what is behind what it is that you're trying to give? What is the motivation behind it, right? And maybe if it's not flowing with others, maybe it's time to look at one's relationship and how one nurtures oneself. Okay, so that's a little bit on the transit of Venus. Next, we have this full moon happening in the sign of Sidereal Aquarius. I hope that you guys are going to be able to flow with this. I'm thinking maybe I should just start over, but I'm going to continue to speak. Yeah, my apologies about this. This is something I need to rectify. So the full moon is happening in the sidereal sign of Aquarius, and this full moon is in the Nakshatra of Chatabishak. Okay, this is a very interesting nakshatra because the symbology of it is an empty circle. So is it empty? Is it the void? Or is it full, right? And so it also indicates 1,000 healers. So Chatabishak Nakshatra is in this sign of Aquarius, which has to do with where we fit and how we relate to the society and the world around us. It can also, because it's indicated of 1,000 healers, right? It can also indicate a time where our health, our vitality, and any kind of cures for illnesses can come into illumination. So in that respect, it's a very positive time. The full moon in Chatabishak is happening along with Mars in the sign of Ashwini. Ashwini is also the sign of healing as well. And so my forecast for this full moon is that when the nodes, because the nodes are very closely connected to the moon, right? They are the nodes of the moon. So when the nodes are moving later on in the month out of Ketu's Nakshatra of Mula into the Nakshatra of Mercury, Jeshta Nakshatra, it is going to go through the scorpion's tail, which indicates some sort of a shot of poison. Now, poison, as we all know, can be transmutated into medicine depending on the way it's prepared and administered. A lot of our medicines come from poisons, right? It's so interesting how the world works. So I feel personally that this full moon is going to illuminate many different options that we have towards healing on whatever level it may be. That includes, solutions to what's happening right now with the current crises. With Mars in Ashwini, it's also going to show that there might be a divisiveness or a division between those that are looking for natural solutions and those that are willing to take the solutions that are arrived through alchemizing poison. So that's just my 2 cents on this full moon. Like I said, I will do another video if I have time today. Okay, so if not, I will apologize in advance. So moving along from the full moon, we have Mercury. Mercury is entering its exaltation sign of Virgo. So it seems to me that this can indicate many things, many ways of communicating higher knowledge and truth, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be a spiritual level. It can be. But more importantly, we will get more practical guidelines or more practical, logical, and precise, detail-oriented information as to what is going on in the world, especially where the sidereal sign of Virgo falls in your chart. Things will become more clear. For example, if it falls in your 7th house, then you might receive clarity and precise information on where you stand in relationships. It can also be a very critical place for Mercury, because Mercury has the ability in Virgo to be able to see very sharply and very critically, okay? So there might be a lot of information that may feel critical, but in a way, if you're able to receive this information in a way that you could take it and use it, it will help with your purification. It can help purify your ideas, okay? So it's a very powerful transit that's happening tonight and tomorrow as the moon touches its fullest, okay? So then I forgot to mention on the 15th, the sun is going to transit out of its own sign of Leo and join Mercury in Virgo. So again, this is where we might get regulations coming from our leaders, detailing or instructing us as to what is coming next. Okay, so this is happening. It's going to start happening in the beginning of the month, but it's going to become more pronounced when the sun transits into that Virgo sign with Mercury. We may be getting directives from our leadership and from the higher ups, okay? So then on the 9th of September, we have Mars, okay? So Mars is very powerful right now. It is its own sign of Aries. So super strong, okay? So what are the energies? How are those energies indicated usually? It's indicated from having like a lot of opinions. The sign of Aries is all about the sign of me. Me first, my ambitions, my ideas, my self, right? And Mars being its lord is extremely powerful there. As I said before, it's going through Ashwini. So it's all about vitality. It's all about health. It's all about healing. It's all about establishing ourselves in ourselves, being able to have the vision of where it is we want to go. Now, needless to say that when Mars starts to go retrograde, that we are going to be taking a step back from that and reassessing, okay, is this really the direction I want to go in? Is this really who it is I am? Is how I'm coming forward in life, how I'm presenting myself in life, is it helpful? Is this the way I want to be? And if not, Mars is going to give us a chance to change it when it goes retrograde. Okay. Also, when it goes through retrograde in the Nakshatra of Ashwini, which is lorded over by the Ashwin twins, right? That brought us the science of Ayurveda, the holistic science of health and longevity. We will start to look at how our actions have created whatever maladies or illness that we are facing, okay? And hopefully revise and review what needs to be done with a broader perspective, according to our internal constitution and our internal direction of how to heal ourselves. Okay, it's a very personalized directive, right? Very personal, Aries. So I can see some backlash happening according to maybe the directives that are coming down from the leadership. How can we reconcile what we need with what's being given to us, with the options being given to us? Okay, so that starts on the 9th. Then we have we have Mars going, we have Jupiter going direct on the 12th. Now, this is going to be also incredibly powerful. Jupiter is going to station direct on the 12th, 11th, 12th, 10th, 11th, 12th, before it moves, right, in the direct motion, in its own sign of Sagittarius. So this can show a lot of dogma, religious fervor and dogma, and very opinionated ideas as to what is right. Okay, Jupiter is generally a benefic sign. It can generally, especially in its own house, its own sign of Sagittarius, can bring us more noble sort of ideals and insights. But now that it is stationing direct and it's still with Ketu, it can bring up also dogmatic, orthodox religious fervor. So that's something to be aware of for the next few months. Although I do feel that once Ketu moves out of Sagittarius, out of Mula Nakshatra, into Jeshta Nakshatra, is going to alleviate maybe that dogmatic sense for Jupiter. And perhaps we will be able to like have more access into the higher teachings and ideals, okay? But it's something to be very aware of, because with Mars in Aries, fire sign of individuality, Jupiter in the fire sign of Sagittarius, of what we think is right, and Sun in the fire sign of Leo with its leadership, its egoic arrogance, we can come across a lot of clashes. All right, so that is happening on the 12th. And then we have Ketu and Rahu moving signs. Okay, so this is really going to be something else, and I will dedicate a whole new video just going over this. All right, but for now, it's suffice to know that when Ketu moves into Scorpio, it will bring up a lot of psychological, even subversive sort of psychological issues. So whether or not you are wanting to delve deeper into your psyche, or if other entities or beings are applying psychological sort of tactics onto you, is something to be aware of. With Rahu in the sign of Taurus, our desires are going to be more towards gaining material security. Now, this makes total sense given the climate of insecurity around money, right? Venus, Taurus is the sign of Venus, money, comforts, one's belongings, one's values, food, as well as speech, as well as yes, our day-to-day things that make it more comfortable for us to be able to survive. All of this is going to come under the spotlight, and I feel like there's going to be a huge move for everyone trying to grasp, to make themselves, whatever it may be, to make themselves feel secure. Now, Rahu and Ketu stay in the same sign for 18 months. So we are going to be feeling this shift quite profoundly, okay? And lastly, I will touch on Saturn. At the very end of the month, Saturn's going to go direct. So it is slowing down and stationing in the sign of Capricorn, which is the sign of our karmas, okay? So hopefully when Saturn was going in its retrograde motion, we all got a good dose of our karmas. And we hopefully, were able to take responsibility and ownership for what we've created, and internally own it and try and shift it. Okay, at least the messages and the lessons were coming to us for the last 5 months. We've been seeing the result of our personal and collective behavior, all right? And sometimes it's not easy to see. These are harsh lessons to take, but if we can own it and try and make amends for it where appropriate, or try and change it within ourselves when we can, then we are honoring the lessons that Saturn is showing us. So when Saturn moves direct in the sky, hopefully we can take these lessons and apply them moving forward. Learn from our mistakes, forgive ourselves and others for our shortcomings, and move forward in a state of greater awareness. Okay, so for those of you who are still here with me, thank you for sitting through all the glitches. I don't know why that's happening. I will try and rectify that before the next video. I would like to wish you all a happy full moon in Aquarius, in Chatabishak Nakshatra. Turn towards our healing. Let's look at solutions. What Chatabishak does, right? It can go any way. And what I see it doing is helping people to look at all sorts of different layers of what it means to be healthy. It's not just our physical bodies. It's just not our mental health. It has to do with so much more in our lives. Where can we bring this light of healing into our lives? We have 1,000 different ways that's available to us. What is it that fits with us? And how can we contribute that part of us that is a healer, that part of all of us that is a healer, to others in society? It can look like something that's out of the box. It can look like something that you wouldn't think, right? So be open to those inspirations. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful and of benefit. I do want to leave you with one thought, and this is a personal thought of mine, something that I would like to share with you, in that when I am doing these reports, I am sharing with you the science of Vedic astrology, right? And what this science and this Vidya, so in a way it is a spiritual wisdom as well as a spiritual science, what it is telling us based upon the positions in the sky. We are all in the same boat. and we're struggling in our own individual ways. Nobody is higher or lower than anybody else. We are all doing our best to take these energies and utilize them in a way that will help us move forward in our lives. So you're not alone with what you're struggling with. And if you would like a reading, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you more insight on what's happening in your life based on your personal birth chart and the position of the stars in the sky. Okay. Take care, everybody. I'm wishing you an incredibly a shiftful, if that's even a word, or a profound awakening month. Oh, one other thing, we will be having a new moon in Virgo on the 17th as well. So I didn't mention that, but I will do a whole new report for that. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the life and all the best. Take care. Thank you. Namaste. Bye-bye.